A very good evening to you and welcome to RTV News with me, Fiona Mbabazi. Now, President Faustin Archange Touadera of the Central African Republic has again commended the discipline and success of the RDF peacekeepers in his country. The president made the remarks while visiting the headquarters of Rwanda's Ministry of Defense at Kimihurura right here in Kigali City. Serge Nora kicks off tonight's edition with that story.
President Faustin Archange Touadera began day 2 of his state visit in Rwanda by visiting the Ministry of Defense, and discussions between the top military officials of both countries were held, lasting about an hour. Following the meeting, Rwanda's Minister of Defense made a few remarks about what had been discussed. We have troops in the Central African Republic there on a peacekeeping mission, but there are also others who went there to assist when the country was facing problems during the election period. He therefore came to visit the Ministry of Defense to see for himself where those soldiers that went to aid his country come from. He commended the way our peacekeepers behave under the UN mission, and also the way the other troops who were sent there as part of the agreement between both countries conduct themselves. Our discussions therefore focused on how we can further collaborate with his country's armed forces, because they are still facing a number of challenges and need to build up a professional army. With our experience, we can show them how we did it and work with them so that they can make progress. Rwanda currently has 3 battalions in the Central African Republic, 2 of them part of the United Nations Multi-Dimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission. The RDF also has a military hospital in that country.
Now, on Friday, President Touadera also visited the Kinigi Modern Settlement in Musanze District of the Northern Province. The settlement that includes facilities like its own school, health center and tarmac roads, and is home to 144 families of the most vulnerable people in society.
The president was accompanied by Dr. Vincent Biruta, who is Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, and was received at the settlement by Jean-Marie Vianney Gatabazi, the country's Minister of Local Government, as well as different other officials. Touring the Kinigi Modern Settlement, His Excellency Faustin Archange Touadera was shown its facilities that include a school with 2 smart classrooms, an upgraded and expanded health center, and a daycare center as part of the country's early childhood development program. This is just one of numerous modern settlements our country has decided to construct in order to implement a proper housing development program. This frees up more land for things like agriculture, while improving people's welfare and promoting unity and reconciliation as they live together in harmony. We explained all that to him, and the fact that here in Kinigi there is a lot of tourism, and the President of the Republic of Rwanda decided that part of the revenue from tourism should be used to help local communities to develop. The President of the Central African Republic was impressed by both what he saw and the explanations that were given. He made comments everywhere we went in the settlement, noting that such a modern health center can exist in a rural area, a school with smart classrooms, paved roads, modern cattle rearing practices, and the modern fully equipped apartment blocks. He was impressed by all he saw. These are homegrown solutions, but we are willing to help other countries to make similar achievements and the sort of transformation we have been able to bring to our own country of Rwanda. The residents of the settlement were glad that they had gotten a visit from a head of state. We are very happy about this, and it has helped us to understand how important the things our president did for us are right here. It has helped us to see our own self-worth. The Kinigi Modern Settlement was officially inaugurated in July this year and is home to 144 families that were resettled there from high-risk zones and includes some of the most vulnerable people in society. It cost more than 26 billion Rwandan francs to complete.
Now, as we celebrate Umuganura Day, which is a celebration of thanksgiving for a good harvest season, the Ministry of Youth and Culture and elders say that this day should not only be viewed in a scope of agricultural and livestock production, but also a day to celebrate what has been achieved so far in other various sectors in the country. Jen Mutoni with the details.
The Umuganura ceremony was a very important day back in the monarchy times, which was part of a highly valued Rwandan customs. It was a day to celebrate in a specific way, just like today each religion has its own way of celebrating. This day was one to feast and celebrate a good harvest nationwide. From the reign of King Gihanga Ngomijana to the reign of King Dahiro Chamatari, Umuganura ceremony was a significant day in Rwanda. It also came to be of great value during the reign of Ruganzu Ndori II, as he had returned after he fled and found that the country had spent the last 11 years without a king, according to history. Hence all that time, the custom was almost forgotten. It coincided with the ripening of the sorghum, so he ordered for the custom to return and feast on the sorghum harvest, and the Rwandans, who had fled, rejoiced that the tradition had returned and shared the sorghum produce. The Umuganura ceremony continued to be celebrated in Rwanda until the reign of Musinga, when the colonists had arrived and abolished the custom. The Minister of Youth and Culture and some of the elders, including one son Zabaganwa Stratton, said that the Umuganura ceremony symbolized the great values of the Rwandan culture. One of the strong foundations of the Rwandan heritage and culture was the Umuganura ceremony because it enhanced unity and oneness among Rwandans. The custom was once again brought to life as a way to stay grounded to our culture as we achieve development. The Umuganura ceremony was a way to encourage hard work among Rwandans, as this was a day to celebrate what they have achieved during that season and also plan on how to achieve more, which is not far from what we do today. The Minister of Youth, Rosemary Mbabazi, said that this day is to be celebrated with preventive measures in place so as to avoid the spread of COVID-19 virus. This is the second time we are celebrating Umuganura ceremony during COVID-19 pandemic, as last year we celebrated it in this way to prevent the virus from spreading, and like as we did in 2020, we shall be celebrating it in our homes and virtually with those from afar. The Umuganura ceremony is normally celebrated on the first Friday of the month of August. It is one of the traditional ceremonies that can support various cultural tourism programs in boosting the national economy and enlightening Rwandans and foreigners about Rwanda's heritage. Jane Mutoni, RTV News.
Dr. Medad Muhabwanamaguru has been elected to become the Kigali Vice Mayor in charge of housing development and infrastructure, while Dr. Didas Muganga Kayihura has been elected as the chairperson of the city's council. Marie Grace Nishimwe was elected to serve as the deputy. 4 city councillors appointed by the President of the Republic were also sworn in after the election. Well, earlier today we also spoke to Dr. Didas Muganga Kayihura, who has been elected as the chairperson of the Kigali City Council, and asked how he intends to proceed in his capacity.
Dr. Kayihura, let me begin by congratulating you on your election.
Thank you so much.
As the chairperson of the Kigali City Council, what are your goals over the term of your office?
Thank you very much. The goals are actually continuous. I mean, it's not a distinct term of office because we have a term that we started far back in 2019. And we had set our goals, and during that time I had been elected as a vice chair for the same council, and I have been acting in that position since January 2020. So it's just a continuation. We had committed that we are going to commit the city to accelerating the services, improving the services given to the city population in all sectors, whether in regard to the infrastructure development, whether in regard to responding to people's queries from the city, and generally improving our services to the people we are serving as a council, and of course aligning all our activities with the strategic plan of the city and the general development plan of the country, so that we may take it faster as expected by the general population of the city.
Yes, as you just noted, you have been serving in this capacity as the acting chairperson of the council since last year. So You are well conversant with what is expected of a person in that position. But do you anticipate any major challenges in your new position? And if they do arise, that is, what will be your strategies for dealing with them?
Well, I think I cannot anticipate any challenges because the major challenge we got during ever since we started our term was the outbreak, the COVID outbreak that kind of hampered the progress we wanted and in a way diverted us to attending to the pandemic and trying to work with the way to stand against it in general, other than focusing on the development that had been envisaged. But other than that kind of challenge we encountered, I don't see any foreseeable challenge because, as I said, we've been in office and the council has already set its pace. I don't think there will be any sudden kind of challenge that will be coming other than maybe that is unforeseeable. But all the same, just like we had to deal with the pandemic as it came, when we are not prepared, we can simply expect that in case of any other unexpected challenge, we will be handling it the way it will be arriving. Otherwise, the city council is properly working closely with the management of the city, and up to now, I think we are all committed to the same goals.
And finally, what message can you give Kigali City residents as to how you'd like to see them cooperate with city officials when it comes to dealing with issues in Kigali?
Yeah, maybe the message to the city population is that we are there, they are electees, they have elected us to represent them. They only have to keep the trust they put in us and always come to us on whatever issues they might encounter. We are there to serve them, but also we do expect them to cooperate and abide by the rules, because we are not there to give them, burden them in one or the other, but rather to work for their own good, for the welfare of the entire population of the city. So they should keep the trust they gave to us, cooperate with the city management as well as the city council. We are all there committed to serving them to the much we can afford.
Dr. Didas Muganga Kayihura, Chairperson of the Kigali City Council, thank you for taking the time to speak to Rwanda Television.
My pleasure. Thank you too.
Now, following the deployment, a joint force of approximately 1,000 people composed of the Rwanda Defense Force and the Rwanda National Police personnel that was dispatched in July this year to the troubled Cabo Delgado province in Mozambique to support the government there to restore state authority in the province. Certain key achievements have been made so far. Now, strategic areas were secured before operations against terrorists operating in the province had begun. Towns and strategic industrial factories were then freed as the commandants met withdrawals after suffering heavy casualties. Vast amounts of equipment, supplies and ammunition have also been captured in the last few days. Now, military operations have continued with the clearing of the terrorist pockets before a final assault on the terrorist stronghold of the port city of Mokibo Daparia, situated alongside the coast of the Indian Ocean. Residents on the border between Rwanda and Burundi in Musanze and Ruhero sector in Nyaruguru district say they hope that relations between the two countries will improve in the near future. This comes after the governor of the southern province met with the governor of the Burundian province of Kayaza on Friday.
The Southern Province Governor, Alice Kaitesi, on Friday met with her Burundian counterpart, Colonel Remy Sishahayo, at the Nishili border. The Kayanza governor, who was accompanied by other security officials from Kayanza province, brought with them 7 Rwandans arrested in Burundi. The investigation revealed the detainees, aged between 14 and 18, were not charged with any security breach, and that Burundi was determined to hand them over to Rwanda. The Kayanza governor says handing over the detainees and holding talks with the counterparts in the southern province show that the two countries want to mend their relationship. We hope that the relationship between our countries continue. I know our heads of state will organize that. There are leaders that love their country and their people. We as governors hope that all will be well for the best. The Southern Province Mayor, Alice Kaitesi, urges border residents to refrain from crossing the border illegally and to wait for the border to open. We are urging the residents to stop crossing the border because it is not allowed. The border is not yet open. They need to be patient and wait for the way forward from the heads of state from both the countries. Another thing is, we should continue living in harmony with our fellow neighbors. Border residents say they hope that things will return to the way they once were, so that they may resume trade with their Burundian counterparts. In July this year, Rwanda handed over to Burundi 19 militants of the Red Tabara rebel group who had been arrested on Rwandan soil. Gabi Muvunyi, reporting for RTV News.
Rwanda will soon begin to treat thoracic cases with the help of technology, and this will be able to bring a revolutionary, minimally invasive technique with better outcomes than the traditional open thoracic surgery. We have the report with Gabi Muvunyi.
Medical experts explain that the traditional methods used to treat lung-related cases usually cause the patient to experience excruciating pain, excess bleeding during the surgery, which all leads to the patient staying in hospital for a longer period. When performing surgery on the chest, especially lung-related cases, we would open up the chest to approximately 12 centimeters wide. This method delays the healing process that now leads the patient to being admitted in hospital for a long period of time. This period could be between 10 to 15 days. This new medical technology was developed by a Spanish medical expert, Dr. Diego Gonzalez, who has delivered it to more than 150 countries around the globe. He is currently in Rwanda, training doctors in how to use this new technology. Dr. Gonzalez says this treatment will help in the development of health sectors across Africa and particularly in Rwanda.
So the difference is that with this technique we use a small incision, like a 3 centimeter incision, and we can do the same with thoracoscopic instruments and with an endoscopic camera. So we just put a small incision, we put all the instruments, the camera inside, and then we watch a screen, and we do the operation watching a screen. We don't need to put our hands inside the chest, and this is why the patient has less pain, better recovery, and can go home in 2 days.
The King Faisal Hospital says the technology will help accelerate the government's plan to have a model health sector in the region.
As we are planning to be a center of excellence in health service in the region, and as we are trying to be a medical tourism hub, we would like to have all kinds of services from A to Z in the country. That's how we are working with this group from Spain to help us introduce this new technique and build our capacity. Our surgeons and our operating theater team know how to do this surgery and to give service to the people of Rwanda and to the region as well.
Currently in Rwanda, there's only one specialist in lung surgery. The King Faisal Hospital says that training more people on the use of this technology will help reduce the number of deaths from these diseases. While on the other hand, the current COVID-19 pandemic is one of the major contributions to the increased number of people suffering from lung-related diseases. Gabi Muvunyi, reporting for RTV News.
And of course, Anita, thank you for making time to be with us this evening.
Thank you.
How was the experience for you?
It's, impeccable.
Yeah? You think there's something you can probably dive into sometime?
Well, I'm thinking I'll be probably sending in my application in a bit.
I think you'd do wonderful anyway. So who's Anita and what do you do?
I am Anita Kanyana and Business Development Manager of Invictus. Invictus being a security solutions service providing a company that basically focuses mostly on cybersecurity, visual surveillance, and maintenance.
So why are you into this sector particularly? A young lady, in the security sector is quite a difficult task for one to understand.
Well, I actually didn't, just like most of the people may be watching tonight, I did not know much about security until I was introduced to it. And the day that I was doing my interviews, actually the day that I understood most about it. And being in Invictus gave me a brighter or a more understanding of security. And I came to fall in love with it. Yes.
Business, of course, security and business should go hand in hand. And why is that?
Because why should we wait for something to outbreak or an event to happen until we can get to secure what we protect or what we love? And so on the social media Invictus Rwanda, we are launching on the 13th at 10, and we are actually promoting We Protect. So this is something that, why should we stand back and wait for an occasion where there's an outbreak, and then that's when we get to protect the things that we love.
That's true.
So why don't we protect it now with Invictus?
I know. So the top problems that you have been with Invictus maybe for a while right now,
Yes.
what are the top problems that you've seen that business people tend to ignore when it comes to security?
Well, one itself being they do not understand what comes with having a consultant come in and tell you this is what we should do, this is what we should not do, because there's some of the things that we tend to ignore in a business, like cybersecurity or the security of the information that you're actually giving. Now, I'll give an example of some of the companies that have specific information that is valid, and some of the employees, we could not predict this. Some of the employees can hack into the information, or because they have access to this information and they get to steal this information and get it to places that shouldn't be there. And so when we come in as Invictus, that is where we get to advise you as the experts, and we let you know this is what we should be, right? Even the places that you have ignored, this is something that you should cover. And so we don't have to wait until an occasion is there and it is a disaster for you to get to protect what you love. We get to protect it now.
Absolutely. So what are the most important elements, when it comes to the protection of businesses?
Yes. I'd say mostly is, I'd come back to cybersecurity. My apologies, I keep on saying cybersecurity because I have noticed that most of the people, when they talk about security, they get to intend to focus mostly on CCTV cameras, which we provide, but can I see, it's good for me to see that a person entered my information, but you did not get to block them. So they took what they wanted, you get the face, but what are the chances that they're maybe not out of the country, right? So when it comes to CCTV cameras complementing cybersecurity, and then that's when we have it in physical security, where you send in an alert and you get the person, then I believe, what else to say?
Because this week, for me, it was like you are trending on Twitter. I got so curious to understand, what is this type of security that you're talking about. But I think one of the most questions that stood out on social media was, how then do you protect my information? Because if someone else can easily get into my information, how does Invictus protect my information?
Now, how do Invictus protect your information is for you, the other person, to even get past that security code or the security protocols that I've installed through cybersecurity. You are not, I'm going to be sent an alert, me as a person, right? So Invictus is installing that cybersecurity or that securing your information, your data on your devices, then it's going to send you an alert that somebody's actually trying to pass this code. So I don't have to first pass the code and then let you know. You trying, just the right attempt of trying, then you get to know.
Maybe as you sum up, what are some of the key pieces of advice you'd give to someone before they embark to take any security decision? Before I say I want, cameras, before I say I want a total block, what are the most important things that I should look into first?
I'd say look for a consultant, right? Look for a person who really understands it, because just as insurance, we've gotten salespeople from insurance, and they come in and they tell you, you actually should get some insurance for the flow, because what if somebody slips, and that's something that cannot come to your mind. So as a consultant, I know the fields, I know what I'm playing with, and so these are some of the things that you would want to look at and you get that consultant like Invictus, and they get to tell you more about what you should be looking out for. Maybe the things that you think you should be looking out for are not the exact threats that you have at the moment. Yes.
So what would you give us, probably on our viewers tonight, the tips to stay secure? Because, you know, we walk with our phones everywhere. We are on WhatsApp, we're on all social media platforms.
Right.
Like, how do we stay secure before we even jump to the decision of getting a company to protect us?
Well, I'm going to leave that curious, and I'll build on the curiosity, and I will say follow our pages on Invictus Rwanda, and it draws across Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and you shall see when you tune in on 13th at 10, we will talk more about security, let people know the chances, or even what do we have to offer.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, thank you very much for making time to be there, Anita. Well. And of course, good luck as you keep teaching us and educating us on security.
Definitely. Honored.
Well, as usual, my name is Fiona Mbabazi. Thank you very much for making time to be with us. Have yourselves a lovely Friday and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And do remember that COVID is still here with us. So play your roles right as we continue to flatten the curve in the country. God bless.